All right, so we're going to walk through a demo of an example use case for tariffs. So this company gets hit with 25% tariffs, and they are working with their agent to figure out a response based on some planning and best practices that they had come up with previously. And so as you can see, it kind of walks through, searches its memory, and then goes through what it's done in the past. So then the user asks about system integration issues. It goes in, searches the memory, and then returns what it's found. So system integration risks, mitigation, and pay attention to that supplier sync.py because we're going to come back to that later. Identify some additional checkpoints. Then the user asks about the financial impact of switching from Vietnam to Mexico. Doesn't find anything in his memories initially, and then it's going to run an analysis. So it goes out and searches the web. In a real life scenario, you might do some searches on the web, but you would also employ some more in-depth analysis and research. And then, as you can see here, it automatically stores it to memory, what it found, the advantages, disadvantages of different scenarios between Mexico and Vietnam. And then it comes back with the answer. So here you can see the winner in this scenario analysis is Mexico. So it goes through what the immediate action should be. And then the user asks about communicating this to the customers, looks in its memory, and then it identifies the communication protocol. And it stores it to memory. So it analyzed that memory and then stored that analysis back to memory. Then it comes up with a recommended approach for how you should communicate these details to your customers, timelines, benefits. Comes up with FAQ, kind of a straightforward response, what you would find. But in this example, you see it's automatically storing and retrieving memories. And what this is doing is it's improving what the agent is able to do in terms of giving you the answer that you need. So here, I said, remember, we're going to come back to that supplier sync script. So then we flip over to Claude Code. And here, what you're going to ask it to do is, look up memories based on the scenario analysis and the recommendation. And so this creates the collaboration between maybe work that you're doing in Claude Desktop, and then when you flip over to Claude Code. And this type of setup, like I said, I've said this in a previous video, it works regardless of what coding agent you use, as long as you have local memory set up and installed, and they all can work around these shared memories. So what I'm asking it to do is search the memories and then implement the supplier sync.py script. And the script is basically going to take the recommendation and it's going to update all of your backend integrations for your logistics and supply chain, switching everything over to your Mexico operations to avoid and deal with the 25% tariff. So as it's doing its work here, we've looked at what the tariff response should be. We've looked at the supplier reliability matrix, looked at the integration gaps. We've also looked at what the response protocol, communication protocol should be based on lessons learned and planning that's been done in the past. Identified cost analysis history and then stored that to memory. And then here we're creating a script, which essentially is going to go through and update all of your backend integration points. And so it's doing this work here. This is a fairly in-depth script. And what it creates is the updates is also going to create a configuration file as well as the output data from running the script. This runs for about a minute or so as it's thinking and figuring out what it needs to update. All right, so created the script. Here we go. Let's take a look at it. It's fairly detailed. In a typical scenario, you would kind of run through this and do a check, make sure there are no issues. You create some automated tests before running it. It's kind of best practices. And it created the config file. It runs along with it. Testing it to make sure there's no errors. Now we're going to run the help just to make sure it understands how it should function. So this is an example of like Claude Code is really like a good helper in terms of creating and running these command line scripts that just make your life easier. So it ran it, and this is the log from running it. As you can see here, it did a lot of updates to a lot of different systems. SAP to your tariff system, cost center updates, applied trade agreement details, updating SKUs. And all of this was based on decisions, details, lessons learned that have already been decided and stored to memory. And in a typical scenario, what would happen is it would be very difficult for you to go from the decisions made, like they're typically sitting in a document somewhere, somebody has to transcribe those documents or save them here, and then it's just a lot of cut and paste that has to happen. So as you can see here, it automatically stored the results of running the script in memory. So everything was successful. So then we flip back over to Claude Desktop, and basically I'm just going to give an update here that it was successfully run. And we implemented this in the script. I can see the memory, see the success factors, and everything was run successfully. So this showed a fairly in-depth and detailed use case of supply chain and logistics dealing with tariff change, but it also showed in detail that it was able to automatically store and retrieve and analyze memories without user intervention. So hopefully this is helpful for those of you who are curious about local memory and who are curious about how it might help you in the work that you do with your coding agents in some fairly complex use cases. For any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can go to localmemory.co and check out the solution, check out the platform, as well as ask questions on our Discord. All right, thank you.